Everybody, the sitting is resumed and the House is in committee on the Taxation Budget Measures Bill. The question is that Part 3 stand part. Chris Hipkins has the call. He's 4.5 minutes remaining.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm very happy to take those. As I was saying before I was rudely interrupted by the break last night, it's slightly ironic to be here debating this bill, only a few years after the National Government introduced it, and we heard from the likes of the Revenue Minister, Peter Dunn, that he couldn't fathom why anybody would oppose it. He couldn't fathom why anyone would oppose it, and here he is in the chair today and doing away with that very measure that he couldn't fathom why anyone would oppose. There are other members of the National Party who had quite a lot to say on this as well. There are other members, Louise Upston, for example. Louise Upston was very supportive of this. The message is very clear. She said that our young people will be debt-free sooner. Was going to be the result of this bonus repayment scheme, this absolute rort, which the Ministry of Education has pointed out has resulted in an increase in the number of people who borrow for 1 year and pay it back straight away so that they can benefit from the repayment bonuses. I think it's a good thing the government are doing away with this particular piece of very bad legislation which they rushed through in 2009 as part of their effort to look like they did care about students. Well, of course, we know they don't care about students now because of all the other mean, nasty things that they've done to students, like trimming their allowances, What was that? Not much more into student support. In fact, probably less into student support. Far less into student support. And I'm willing to wager that the growth in tertiary education funding is less than the growth in the overall tertiary student population and the real terms cost of the rising cost of tertiary education. I'd say overall in real terms per student it's going down. I'd be willing to bet that, and suddenly the government are very quiet, have nothing, heads down, have nothing to say about that. Nothing to say about that. Doing away with this very half-baked scheme cooked up by Stephen Joyce back in about 2007 is a good thing. It is a good... It might have been Anne Tolley. Actually, Anne Tolley here... Anne Tolley... It's so funny you should mention that because Anne Tolley said, we estimate that this measure will reduce repayment times of those who take up the bonus by 1.5 years, and we believe that it will decrease the upfront cost of new lending to 39.4 cents. How could anyone vote against that? Anne Tolley said. And now she's going to do exactly that. She's going to vote against it by voting to repeal it. Because it was a stupid thing to put in place in the first place. The Labour Party pointed out all of the flaws with it when it was first introduced. The government ignored us. And now they've finally come around. And I think I'll give credit where credit's due. That's a good thing that they're doing away with this repayment bonus. It doesn't make any sense, and it was a ridiculous thing to do in the first place.
Mr. Chair. Grant Robertson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. It's a pleasure.